Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. David P. Perrodin, and I am the instructor for Educational Leadership, 655 Pupil Services and Non-Discrimination with Viterbo University in La Crosse, Wisconsin. This week begins on Monday, February 5th, and concludes on Sunday, February 11th, 2024. The groundhog did see its shadow, which means we have at least 6 more weeks of class. A reminder to make contact with your learning team members and begin the division of labor for that assignment. Reflecting upon week 2, a parent believes that their child was the recipient of a bullying incident at school. This discussion question with a parent leaving a voicemail distills into a few core considerations. First, this is a report of bullying. The parent is making a report of an alleged bullying incident. Although this report isn't through a more formal means, such as completing a form on your website or contacting a staff member, it is still a report, and the school has an obligation to conduct a bullying investigation per Board of Education policy. Some of you offered to assist the parent to complete the form. Kudos. I think that's a great idea. Under state law, Wisconsin State Statute 118.46, you have the right to report bullying to a teacher or administrator, so right, the parent. The person who receives your report must take it seriously, meaning that they must actually investigate it and both support and protect you against any backlash for making the report. So I posted statute 118.46. So become familiar with it. There's quite a bit that's required of your district and some things that are easy to overlook, such as posting your district's policy to the website. Is the bullying policy on your website? Spend a few minutes examining your district's website for accessibility of the bullying reporting form. Again, per Wisconsin Statute 118.46, policy on bullying, the bullying policy and the model program must be posted on the district's website. Who conducts the investigation? Make sure that you involve the billing principal in the investigation process. The matter should be investigated and handled at the building level as much as possible. Also, overreach of district office can convey a message to parents that district office has the power over schools to compel them into certain findings and can supersede the building level administrator. You also don't want to introduce friction with your building level administrators. You want to work collaboratively and also direct the parents when issues come up to seek that they be resolved at that building level. Scope and sequence. So you can say, and you should say, we strive to maintain safe schools. A number of you mentioned that in your response to the parent. Well, yes, right? That is almost boilerplate language. It's almost a trope at this point. But what are your specific bullying prevention activities at each grade level? And I'm going to provide you a K-12 very detailed scope and sequence that I worked on. And that's going to give you some guidance on how you can populate it out, such as, bucket filling activities at grade 2 and just very comprehensive. That's later in class. But again, you want to be able to be very specific with that. And maybe your Board of Education is going to question you. What do we do exactly to prevent bullying at 3rd grade or at kindergarten or at 7th grade? Have those answers, have those activities. Therapy animals or mental health support animals at school for all students and staff. This is a trend. Certainly seeing this more. We're seeing it in policies now in schools where it didn't exist before. And what I'm talking about here is not service animal specific to one student to do a task or task to support that student with a disability. I'm talking in general of therapy animals brought in. I don't know how you define exactly therapy animals, for the benefit of all staff, all students. Many of you noted that you would address this on a case-by-case basis, and that tends to be what shows up in policy. And you would also weigh factors including the benefit to students. How do you measure that, by the way, what the benefit is? You'd also consider allergies and possibly students who are fearful of dogs or animals. The supplanting of instructional service minutes, it certainly is a consideration when this becomes a practice of the therapy animal coming to school on a weekly basis and interacting with students. And also equitable access to the animals. Is there a certain subset of students who are prioritized for access? And if so, why? To look into that. Board of Education policy varies greatly across Wisconsin's 421 school districts regarding therapy animals, or quasi-named comfort animals, and so on, that are, again, not specific to a student, but brought in for the student body. Check out Wisconsin Rapid's 2022 policy, which is very detailed and requires many assurances before a therapy dog is brought onto school premises. Some policies leave it up to the superintendent to make the decision, and the superintendent might delegate that decision to you. So how will you inform your decision? Shout outs! Jamie dug through her district website and also had a conversation with her high school son, discovered core resources were not easy to locate on the website. Per Jamie, under student services on the district section of the website, there's a hyperlink to mental health and SEL and community resources. This page has a wealth of information, but again, I have never seen this, nor was I aware of it, then that it was available to our families and students, right? And Jamie is a teacher in the district. So if Jamie's not aware of it, probably nobody has discovered this. Nicole wrote that she would offer her time and support to assist the parent in completing the bullying complaint form, going back to our first discussion question. I think that is awesome. And if you also perceive a trend of parents saying, I don't know where the form is, I don't know how to complete it, or students saying the same thing, dig into that. Is it difficult to locate? It should be very easy to find on your district webpage. Again, state statute. Is it too long? Would it be beneficial if there was a template, a completed sample? What if you did a 60-second video on how to complete the form and that was available? So kind of thinking deeper into causal factors, direct cause and root cause on that. Rachel wrote that while an animal may result in engagement and motivation for some, it can be a distraction and anxiety inducer for others, going back to therapy animals in school. And that is being coupled now with mental health. We're seeing people come in and say this is a mental health dog, a mental health increasing, animal, right? So that's kind of the easement there. So again, it is anxiety inducer for others. There was a specific situation I was aware of where an animal was brought in and a student in that class had been attacked by a dog outside of a school previously and had anxiety, right? So how was that situation addressed? Corey noted that she was amazed that anybody would think it's a good idea to exempt a student from a safety drill. And she added, I think it is negligent, even if it was done with good intentions. Yeah, you're probably right. I guess that's up for a judge or jury to really figure that out. But this is serious stuff. If the safety instruction or drill is producing a trauma response, it's probably just not specific to one student, it's probably impacting several students, then either the instruction or the drill itself needs to be altered, but still maintain its intended purpose. Or the IP team should consider a goal for the student to learn skills or have access to supports to enable them to successfully participate in safety activities, right? Because what if that student exits school, they're 25 years old and they're in a living environment where there is a fire and they've never participated in fire drills, or if they're in some setting and there's violence that breaks out, right? So they're not participating in drills. We're not equipping them with these post-secondary life skills either. So there's a lot of issues there. In your book, School of Errors, I wrote about when I worked for the School for the Blind and we had a 2-alarm fire and all of the students evacuated safely. It was on a Friday. It was like 5 minutes into lunch. All of the scenarios you wouldn't want to play out during a safety drill. This was an authentic event. And it was because we had a non-negotiable practice. Everybody participated in safety instruction and everybody participated in drills. And it was very difficult at times. We had to do social scripts for students and a lot of practice. Again, students comorbid with vision loss and autism. But that was the philosophy. And when it came to actually an authentic event, everybody left the building successfully. So it's another reason I talk about institutional review board, or having people, your students and your staff, review your safety practices. And if there's opportunities to modify those to lessen the opportunities for trauma. But again, who goes and writes an IEP that includes the student will learn how to participate in a fire drill or an intruder drill or something like that? We just don't see it. We should. Like, that should be there. So week 3, looking ahead, week 3, the SWOT assignment. I posted an example of it. It is meant to be a bullet point type response. It really should be a page. So a SWOT is helpful to identify opportunities that you could pick one or two of those and say, I'm going to turn this into a strength, right? So that's the purpose of a SWOT. It's made to be quick and get people thinking of different categories: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. It's also vital that you play to your strengths. And I posted the 10-minute keynote by Marcus Buckingham because, when you don't play to your strengths, it's entropy, right? They just kind of go away. So you got to make sure that you're maintaining your strengths. And what you hear in schools, right, and just in life in general is, well, here's your area you're not as good at, like a weakness. So we got to put more time here. And you're taking that time away from a strength, and then that strength eventually kind of erodes. Collaboration with other districts. So we talk about this in the upcoming week. That is your article that you're reading instead of your weekly annotated review, right? I worked with other districts and put that together as a director, and we shared different pupil aspects of pupil services, staff, professional development. And I posted an additional article about that, but now's the time to do it. Budgets are tighter, and we also have the ability for virtual meetings with staff and things like that. But you want to work with the districts around you, because they are also the districts who are going to come to help and assist you when something traumatic happens in your site. Students are killed in a car crash, right? It's going to be your neighboring districts who are going to be sending their staff to integrate and support your staff. So those are the folks you might want to include in your mental health and emergency planning. The community health needs assessment. I did a blog post on that. This is kind of a cool thing because as a school person, you participate and you don't have to write it up. It's not your assignment. It is the job of the county and also of the hospitals. But claim your seat at the table. I have some samples out. You can type in your district, your county, and it'll come up. You'll see the current one. You'll also see some school districts who had representatives there, and others where there's like nobody from the schools. So you want to make sure you're representing your school's interest, because that community health needs assessment is the inroad for mental health supports for students and families, as well as families in poverty, access to healthcare, and community resources. So a lot of us don't even know that it exists. And the CESA catalog of services, we'll have more next week about this. I actually have a little video from the website that I'll include of the CESA website. But it is the Emergency Assistance for Non-Public Schools, EANS program. And this was developed during the pandemic. It continues today. So this is relatively new. And what it did is it took the CESA services and it basically put them into an online catalog. So you can go in and it expands all the time. But there are several pupil services areas: counseling, ELL, mental health, suicide prevention, cultural and diversity training, and so on. It's always growing. So to be aware of that, and also like if you've been in this for quite a while in school administration and schools, like this is rather new, and it is significantly refined versus where it was just a few years ago. So let's make it a terrific week.